Bless this show, oh God. Let your will be done, oh God.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at KTAV.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry. You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at ktav.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.
Hey everyone, we want to welcome you to another installment of the Simone Edwards Show here on this station. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous, rainy Saturday in San Diego, and we are broadcasting here from the KTAV studios. My special guest today, our woman on the move, is Miss Keisha Phillips, author of Tears on Her Face. We're going to talk about this book, the journey to create this book, what she learned along the way. So we just want you to buckle up and, you know, since it's raining, grab a cup of coffee, hot chocolate, tea, whatever your favorite beverage is, and just kind of sit back. I want to introduce to some and present to others Ms. Keisha L. Phillips. How are you? Say hi to our audience.
Hello, everybody.
So you guys know how we do here. Before we jump off into the deep end and get into the book and the writing and the poetry and hear some of the poems, we're going to get to know you just a little bit.
Well, all right.
So, where were you born? Let's start there.
I was born in Peoria, Illinois.
Really?
Yes.
Do you remember it at all?
I do. Since I was younger, you know, my mom definitely, I didn't explore a lot, but I remember it was a lot different than, you know, here in California.
Right. What were do you remember because all I think about when I hear Midwest are winters.
I remember most of the different, losing the word.
The seasons?
The seasons.
Yeah.
So, it is a lot different, actually. You know, in the fall, you have the leaves, and you have to go out and rake the leaves. And
okay.
Yeah, so in the snow, it gets really cold. And before my mom would take us to school, we would have to go out and shovel the driveway so she can leave and get the ice off of the windshield. So, yes, I remember those cold winter days.
Right, and then, like, having to salt the driveway?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes. But we would still go out and play.
Yes.
Hands freezing. But we would still go out and play, and then we would come in and run our hands under hot water, and then go back outside.
Okay, so two of my favorite things about living in places where there is the four seasons.
Yes.
Definitely the fall and seeing the color change.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Love all day.
Yes.
Yeah. And then waking up and seeing snow on the ground untouched.
Right, the fresh the fresh snow.
Before it turns to like slush.
Right, and all dirty and yucky and stuff like that, yeah.
So when did you move to San Diego?
In 86, when I was 14 years old.
Okay.
Uh-oh, I just told my age. Okay.
Wait, what? What? No, we didn't say that. Shh.
Yes, my mother moved us here. My aunt lived here already, and I remember phone calls of those two, and she would always be like, you guys should just move here. And my mom would be like, oh, I'll think about it. Mm-hmm. And one day she just probably was like, you know what, let's go for it. And her, my younger brother, and I moved to California on a bus, 3 days.
What?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I remember that it was long, and I don't remember a bunch of it, but I remember it was just us three, and, you know, like, we're making a change.
Wow. So, I love all of that. I love adventure. So I'm like, oh, that is fabulous. I'm like, what? I am all for that.
Right. Now you just hop on a plane. But, yeah, back then, you know, not a lot of money. You just get on a bus, a Greyhound.
Right. Yeah. So coming to San Diego, no more Four Seasons.
Right. I don't think I was completely sad about that, but I was like in awe. I can remember when I still lived in Illinois, my aunt had these two wooden utensils on the wall. Mm-hmm. One was a spoon, and then the other one was a fork, and we were like, oh, those are California spoons and forks. Like, in our mind as children, we were like, everything in California is big. You know, the lights in Hollywood and, you know.
Right.
So we're looking at these big spoons and forks like, they must have came from California.
Right.
That is so funny.
So what was it like the first time you saw the ocean?
I'm trying to remember. My mom used to always like to take us to the beach, as a matter of fact. I can remember that was like one of her favorite places. And she had her boom box, and she would always play Anita Baker.
Oh,
and
Anita.
We would just go run and play, and I don't think I would get in the water because I couldn't swim. I'm like, that's a big body of water.
Right.
I'm going to stay over here, you know, closer to the sand. But I remember just enjoying life. Like, wow, this is so much different from where I grew up.
Right.
So...
Wow, I love it. I absolutely love it. Do you have siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother named Tim and an older brother named Brandon. And then I was blessed to actually meet my dad.
Okay.
I did not meet my father until I was 30 years old.
Same.
Which, you know, was difficult, as you could probably relate. And met my other two brothers, Rodney and Breon. And then I have not gotten a chance to meet my sister, Tamara. But we've talked on the phone and things like that. So she's like 11 months younger than me.
So what was it like growing up with, because you're in the middle, so you have bookends.
Oh my gosh.
I know that there are stories by the response.
Oh my word. I thought I was adopted. I'm like, I gotta be adopted. What is going on here? The youngest one never gets in trouble, and the oldest one is, you know, bossy, you know, within his own right, because he was left to care for us a lot.
Right.
So being in the middle, it's like you're just there, and you know, being the only girl. And I think my mom just didn't know what to do. As I got older and spoke with her, she was like, "Girl, you was just a bit much to handle." I was like, what? What? You know, I can remember a glimpse, but since I have two daughters now, I kind of get it.
So, Kevin Lehman does this. He did a book on birth order, and one of the things that he brought out in his book that I thought was really interesting, he talked about how in the birth order, if you have a firstborn male and then your second child is a female, really, even though she's the middle child or the youngest, she's still mentally a firstborn because she's the first of her gender.
Right.
So did you have any like first sibling, you're not the boss of me?
Well, no.
Okay.
Not with him. Please. If you ask him, he'd be like, yeah, I was her dad. So he probably really felt that way.
Okay.
I mean, he really cared for us, and he was kind of harsh sometimes. He was regular sibling things, but I can remember an instant. My mom was gone to work, and of course he had to care for us. So whatever, make us lunch, and if she had to be gone for a longer time, then make us dinner. So he makes us some sandwiches, bologna sandwiches, you know, with the edges and stuff like that.
Right.
And he makes himself a pot of spaghetti and wouldn't give us any. I am never going to forget that, and I never let him forget it either. But
what's his name?
Brandon.
Brandon, you didn't give her any spaghetti.
No spaghetti, Brandon, but I love you.
Okay, so what were some of your favorite things to do growing up? We talked about playing in the snow. Did you do the whole jumping in the pile of leaves once they were?
We did.
Okay.
We did. It was so much different. I remember we were always outside. It wasn't, stuck in the house.
Right.
We were, do your chores so you can get to go outside. We like, hurry up.
Right.
Let's go outside and play. And we had so much freedom to certain limits.
Right.
But I remember, go outside and play. That's all you heard. Go outside and play. Unless it was raining, then it's like, go in your room.
Right.
But
right.
go outside and play, and we would go hang out with our friends as long as she knew, okay, she's probably across the street. You tell her where you're going, and then you had to be in before 6 o'clock, which was the street lights.
Right.
You better be in before them street lights. Don't miss it.
Right.
That's like a curfew. Don't miss it. If you miss it, I don't know what to tell you.
Right. Don't let the lights get too bright.
Right.
You
Running. I remember we waited to the last minute.
Right.
Just pushing the envelope.
Yeah, we had it so different growing up.
We did.
Yeah. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? Especially being former military.
Oh my goodness. Well, I didn't travel much.
You didn't?
I did not.
What?
I was a recruiter for 17 years.
Okay.
Pretty much right here in San Diego.
Oh.
Now, I did go to school in Louisiana. I mean, I loved the places that I did go for schooling and such, but I would have to say Wakanda.
You know what? I'm so done with y'all in this Wakanda.
Okay, I know that is not a place. But I would have to say right now, from the places that I visited, I would have to say here. I have gone to St. Lucia, and it was awesome.
Ooh.
Just, but that was in the resort.
Right,
so,
right.
But
Island
it was,
life,
you
though.
just eat. I love to eat. So you just, you go to sleep, you wake up, it's time to eat. And their hospitality is amazing.
Right.
So I love to venture out. Their food is good.
Right.
It's good. So, but right here, I enjoy living in California.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
The weather is decent. I mean, it's
Listen.
bipolar at times, but
Right.
But yeah.
Honestly, I travel. I have been blessed to travel a lot, and I'm telling you, flying back into San Diego is just like, yeah.
Oh.
And for a long time, I was kind of like, I don't know if San Diego is my final because I have that wanderlust, and so it's like I'm like, new place, yeah, where I'm going, I want to go,
Right.
and so love to travel, but there's something about flying back. I think the only place right now for me that I would say rivals San Diego, actually two places, is if I had the opportunity to live in London, there would be no discussion.
You're
it would be like, everybody, I'm a post from
there. Right.
I'm at Buckingham Palace. Hi.
Wow.
Or New York, stateside.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could move back to New York, I would, just because I heart New York. I mean, what's not to love?
I want to go and visit. I have a friend that lives there, and she's like, come visit. I'm like, well, I have to try to set up something with my book, and
Yes.
definitely, but it's definitely, you have to me, to get my message out. And wherever I go now, I'm like, okay, can I go and, do a book signing, whether it's, give away 50 books.
Right.
It's the message behind it, and it's what it helped me through.
Right.
And I want to share that with the world.
That would be a great message for New York.
Yeah.
I think you should go. All right. Last question, and we're done. What is the one thing on your bucket list? Do you have a bucket list?
I do. I want to be a superhero. I was like watching that movie. You know what movie I'm talking about. And I was like, oh man, my husband's sitting next to me like,
Wakanda.
Simmer down. Like, if you don't calm down. But I've always wanted to be in an action film. So years ago.
Put your bid in.
Years ago, I know. Years ago, I met will.i.am, and he called me G.I. Janita. And so I'm like, that's mine. You know, so thank you. And I definitely started writing a movie before. I have to find what I wrote so far, but it's in here.
Okay.
And I'm like, I can completely see that from a different perspective. And, you know, with my military background and some of the things that I've gone through and experienced, that would be awesome if I had the support of, you know, those people who can help me make this a reality.
You never know.
I know.
Speak it out there.
Speak it out. Yeah.
I just want a little part in the movie. That's all I'm going to ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want a little part.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys, we're going to take a break for station identification. We will be back in just a moment with G.I. Janita.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at ktav.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.
We are back here in studio with Keisha L. Phillips of her debut book of poetry called Tears on Her Face. And so we are going to talk about what made you decide to write a book. How did that come about?
It came about, I've been writing since the 90s, and I believe when I was younger, I would say, oh, I'm going to write a book. And it's because I would read Judy Blume all the time, her books as a kid. And it was just something I was like, oh, I'm going to write a book. But it wasn't, I didn't know that this would turn into a book. And I just continued to write and journal. And one day I said, you know what, I'm writing like all these poems. I'm going to turn into a book. So I did some research and found a publishing company and paid for the deal, sent my manuscript, and then got stumped. I was like, okay, through the editing process, you guys have changed every poem, and that's not what I was trying to say. And, you know, in poetry, it might not be grammatically correct.
Right.
However, it's how I am trying to, you know, put my message out.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, let me put this down for a while. And then I think I started a motorcycle group, co-founded a motorcycle group, and just was with that for a little bit.
You never told me you had a motorcycle group.
I know. I'm not in the group now, right? I'm not a active member or a member anymore. I've given that up. But it was awesome while I was in it. It's called Hurricane Biker Girls.
Can I be a biker girl?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It's fun. It's really fun. But I think the change, you know, sometimes God removes things out of your life.
Oh.
And, you know, that you're holding on to. And he's like, okay, I allowed you for that season to do that.
Right.
Now I need you to get back on track. So I would get off track a lot. And so he's like, okay, so I'm just going to remove it altogether.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you went to do the book, the editing process discouraged you.
It did.
They took your voice.
Yes.
And then you're just kind of like, okay, I'm going to table this.
Yes.
I'm going to put a pin in this.
Yes.
You started Hurricane Biker Girls.
Yes, me and another member.
What happened after that? How did you get back to
How I got back to the book, after I got out of the group and I continued, in the military, and I had my daughter. And when I got out of the group, she was about 11 months. And I started back writing. Anytime I went through a moment where I felt it was overwhelming for me, I wasn't so willing to go and speak with someone.
Right.
So this was my self-therapy.
Right.
So I write it down, then I close the book. To me, it's like closing the book on the pain.
Right.
And, you know that if you allow things to continue to build up,
right,
that at some point it will explode on you.
Right.
So I did finally go to a counselor and speak with a counselor, and she just kind of helped me understand, like, nothing's wrong with speaking to someone. And so unfortunately it's it's just a lot of people just don't want to go, and they feel like something's wrong with me. Well, we're not perfect, and we could be a little broken sometimes, but it's nothing wrong with. It's actually really loving yourself when you do go and speak with someone and get the help that you need.
Right.
So I continue to write.
Right.
And in that writing, I said, okay, I picked it back up, picked up the manuscript, went back and started looking at their edits and stuff like that. I'm like, so what they said is you can keep it the way it is, or you can go with our edit. So I was just scratching out all the stuff that that they changed. I'm like, that's not what I was trying to say. That's not what I was trying to say. I was not ready. So when I started the process, mentally and in my heart, I was not ready because I was still so hurt and so bitter from just me not knowing my father.
Right.
I was in an abusive marriage. My first marriage was an abusive marriage, and it was endured a lot that some people don't recover from.
Right.
And me having God, I remember having duty. I was in the Navy, and I remember I was on a dry dock. So I was standing on the wing wall, which is like the side of, it looks like a big U. So I was on the right side. In the back, I had duty. And it was dark, and I remember looking at the water, and I was just like, what happened? Why am I going through what I'm going through? Like, I'm not that bad of a kid, God, please. And I remember in my spirit, Jeremiah 29:11 through 13. Now, mind you, I had never read those Bible verses ever in my life.
Right.
But almost verbatim, I felt them.
Wow.
And I said, okay, Keisha, be strong. You don't give up. Because at that point, I did not want to live.
Wow.
I was like, death has to be better than this. Like, I don't want to feel that pain no more.
Right.
So, of course, I did not harm myself, and I just continued to endure the abuse. So it was mental, physical, emotional abuse. It was draining. I was embarrassed at work because it was brought to work, and it was so ridiculous.
Right.
And nobody, man or woman, should endure any kind of abuse of any such.
Right, but that mental and emotional abuse can do a number on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It really can.
And I won't say that I'm 100% healed. It's a choice that I make every day to press in, to use my voice,
right,
to share with somebody else that have experienced anything like it or even worse, that just because you are in a dark place, you don't have to continue in that dark place.
Right.
A lot of times when I go and I speak, I make sure everyone has a pen. I pass out my pens. And then I say, I've given you a pen, so hold the pen up. I've given you a pen because God has given you the authority to write your own future. You don't have to allow your past to dictate your future. You're the author of your own future.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So, the writing process for you for Tears on Her Face, it was a lot of kind of, I don't want to say stop and start, but it was almost, because really that is your process.
Yes, absolutely.
And so
it took 7 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was 7 years of dealing with the hurt and compounded and layered pain.
Absolutely.
And so when you're dealing with layered pain, it's really like peeling an onion, and you deal with it one layer at a time.
Yes. Yes.
So at the end of tears on her face, when did you know you were done? When did you reach a place where you're kind of like, yeah, this feels complete. This has a beginning, middle, and end.
So, rewinding just a little bit, I remember going to church, and there was a poet that recited some poetry, and I remember saying, man, like she is the bomb. And I don't compare what we often do, compare ourselves to someone else. And that poet, Simone Edwards,
told me. I was listening like, who?
Told me this is your poetry, this is your story.
Oh my God.
And you need to finish your book. And in that voice, I heard God's voice say to me, I am telling you, it is time.
Wow.
I have sent so many other people, and maybe you can hear me now.
Wow. Wow. I'm a little speechless. So, wow. To God be the glory.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Yep.
So, whew. I'm stuck. That is awesome.
Yes, it's very awesome for another poet to say, "Hey, sis, in your embrace, it was like I felt his embrace."
Wow.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Wow. Whew. Okay. What was the writing process?
The writing process, like I've had most of these poems, and
Right.
I mean, when I submitted it, it was funny because, again, like I said, I was pretty bitter and things like that. I had so many bad words. I hadn't crossed over and
Right.
transformed my life or dedicated my life back to the Lord at the time.
Right.
And I remember whoever was the editor, whoever edited the poems, I really give them a thumbs up because they was, each bad word, they're like, this is a distraction. They weren't rude and then when I continue to read some of my poems, I'm like, girl, wow, you are going through it.
Right.
You have to know that you don't have to share like this. Like, you are more intelligent to just shove a bunch of bad words in there because you're so angry.
I love how the editor was like, so this is good, but that that expletive seems to be a distraction.
And this one too, I was like, whoa, flipping through like, good night. Let me just start all over. No, I'm just kidding. So I said, okay, Keisha, you're a grown up.
Right.
And, at that time I had, when I picked it back up, my healing process had begun. I mentioned I didn't know my dad, but him and I have a good relationship now, and
Right.
I'm grateful. What I didn't know then that I know now, that God shared with me last year was, all those years, because I cried for about 21 years about, like, something has to be wrong with me. Like, this is, and as a woman, not knowing your dad, it's almost like, okay, well, who do I base this ideal man that I'm going to be looking for in the future on?
Right.
I don't have a blueprint.
Right.
So God told me that you didn't know him then because he could not pour into you the way I needed him to pour into you. He wasn't ready.
Wow.
So all those years and wasted tears was almost for nothing, but it's, it happens.
It all works together.
So I look at the verse, Psalms 56:8, and God said, I will bottle those tears.
Right.
And yeah.
Wow. So was there a time, the book is now completed, and you go back through and you reread one of your poems and you're kind of like, oh my God.
Yes. Sometimes I still
Is it surreal for you?
It is. You know, I remember I wasn't even the first one putting my hands on the first copy.
Right.
Like someone at my church, she was like, guess what I have? And I was like, can I touch it? Can I hold it?
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
And it was like awesome. You know, my oldest daughter, she's like, Mom, like you're famous. I'm like, girl, not yet.
It's coming.
Right. And you know, it was amazing. It was like, wow.
Wow.
And it's like God said you can have heaven here on earth. I know that this book is not, you know, for me to just be like, oh, I got a book. And 10 years, I mean, not 10 years ago, in 2010 when I started it, that's how it would have been. Had I, and so it took the 7 years because I had some growing to do.
And it really leads itself to the idea that God prepares us for, not just prepares us for the promise, but he prepares us for the blessing that comes with the promise.
Yes.
Because sometimes if we're ill prepared, the thing that was meant to be a blessing can become a curse to us if you're not ready for it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So this 7-year process of writing this book and you going through not only, and I appreciate your willingness to be vulnerable about, you know, there was a time when I saw a counselor, which there is nothing wrong with that. I think it's a travesty that people associate that with. It's time to come out of that because it doesn't mean that, you know, you're on the far left end of the spectrum. I was listening to a TED Talk and there was a gentleman who talked about how we focus more on our physical health than we do our mental and emotional health.
Right.
And that our mental and emotional health is just as important as our physical health.
Absolutely.
And that we live, especially in Western societies, we live in a place where we glorify what takes place on the outside.
Right.
And we are very much unconcerned with what's going on the inside. And talked about how he had a twin brother and they were separated for a time and how he had to really work through that because being a twin, they were always together.
Absolutely.
So you going to see a counselor is perfectly normal.
Right.
Because sometimes you need that person outside of you who doesn't know you.
Yes.
To give you a perspective that is more holistic and to kind of help you see like, I think maybe you're looking at that the wrong way.
Right.
Or maybe you want to think about this.
Yes.
Or have you considered? Right. So then you go through this process. Even in writing, there was therapy.
Yes. Yes.
Even in writing and getting out the things that were in you to get you to this place where you are now in a position where you are whole.
Yes.
Based on content.
Yes.
To then be able to present this to someone else.
Absolutely.
And have them read it. And now say, I'm here to help you walk through this.
Absolutely.
And I may not be the counselor.
Yes.
But I'm here to give you what you need for this phase of your journey.
Absolutely.
So, there's so much more than...
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And in the Navy, I was a Navy counselor.
What?
So that was the title. It's funny. And it's, again, I take it back to God because I remember when I first joined the Navy and, you know, they're looking at my scores like, whoa, girl. And I'm like, well, what job can I give? They're like, well, I'm not sure. What do you want to do? And I was like, I want to be a counselor. It was like, no, there's no job like that for you. And I was like, it took 10 years, but guess what? God gave me the job that I said that I wanted.
That is awesome.
So,
that is awesome.
So good.
We're gonna come back. We're gonna take a break for station identification. We'll be back in studio. We're gonna hear some of the pieces from Tears on Her Face. We're gonna talk some more about this book. Have the author give us some advice, tips, publishing, all that good stuff. Hang tight. We'll be back in just a moment.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise or services, us us online at ktav.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV's Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.
We are back here in studio with author Keisha Phillips of Tears on Her Face. So let's talk about this book. When your audience picks this book up and they read it, what do you want them to walk away with? Like what do you want them to, what feeling or what sense do you want them to walk away with after reading it?
What I want them to walk away with is, just because you've gone through something in your life, or just because you're going through something in your life, it's a season, it's a period of time. If you could focus on positive versus the negative aspects of your life, then you can make a path to healing. I also want them to know that through self-love, like, you have to love yourself. Like, no one's going to love you the way you love yourself.
Right.
But in loving yourself, it's mind, body, and spirit. Like, you have, it's a whole. If you look it up on Google. If you go, it's like a balance. And no matter, I was doing it for a class, and I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, mind, body, and spirit, or mind, body, and soul, however, you look at it, it's still, you have to have those components to make up your being. So in order to heal, in order for me to heal, in order for anyone to heal, you have to forgive. Like, forgiveness is big.
Right.
If you walk around with unforgiveness in your heart, it's almost like when I explain it to the elementary kids in school.
Right.
I say, just imagine a big, beautiful red heart, but then someone makes you mad and it starts getting dull. Or someone disappoints you and it gets a little bit more dull. And if you hold that in, next thing you know, your heart is going to be black. You won't have any room for that beautiful, vibrant red heart anymore.
Right.
And so
it's really what you want them to gain from this is healing and forgiveness.
Healing, forgiveness, and self-love.
Oh, I love it. I love it. How did you decide on the title? How did that come about?
A long time ago, this lady told me that my name, Keisha, means tears on her face. And I'm like, aha! Well, I cry all the time, so that must be what my name means. I don't think that's what my name means, but it stuck with me. And initially, it was going to be tears on the face. And then probably, I don't know, 2 years ago, I'm like, you know what? As I continue to heal, I'm like, I'm not that woman anymore. I'm not her anymore.
Right.
So it's tears on her face, not mine. I'm smiling.
Right.
I have genuine joy in my heart, and I
Right.
wake up every morning joyful. Like, I'm breathing.
Right.
I have my beautiful husband, my handsome husband, my beautiful children.
Right.
I have my health. There's always someone somewhere else that is, not doing well. When I worked at Balboa, I worked in the building where the Wounded Warriors were. And for 2 months, I cried my eyes out every day.
Wow.
Just looking. Like, every day I ran into someone who didn't have arms.
Wow.
Or didn't have legs, or that was wounded because they're trying to protect our country.
Right.
And we're complaining because, you stubbed your toe.
Right.
Or you got a little cold.
Right.
Or, whatever your small, I'm not saying everyone's issues is small, but we have issues. That's life.
Right.
However, figure out how you can make it better
Right.
And don't focus on, the negative aspect of it. Take what you can from that negative thing that happened.
Right.
And get better.
I'm a firm believer in that. Yes. I really am. That it's, one, use your voice.
Yes.
Yes. Use the voice that God has given you.
Yes.
And then use that voice to promote your healing.
Absolutely.
Right. And then hopefully it would be the healing of others as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we're here not just for ourselves, but for others.
Right.
If we, right now I'm taking a class on servant leadership, and I'm just in awe of what I'm learning. And I'm like, if we could take those principles and apply it to our everyday life, not just at work, just every day, this world would be a better place.
Right. Right. So I want you to share with us, we're going to do one before the break and then one after the break. Share with us some of your pieces from Tears on Her Face. What's one of your favorite pieces?
One of my favorite pieces is It Me? This is why. This question would always resurface in my life. Is it me? As the tears fall from my eyes, I keep wondering if it were lies you told to keep me in line or my hands tied. See, I'm here to stay was a phrase that I heard constantly until I began to believe the words that fell from your lips, never doubting anything you said, until I put my guards down. Is it me? I must be tripping or downright slipping out of reality to have been so gullible. But I'm awake now, to never again sleep so deep to get wrapped up in this fantasy world that I choose to be a part of. Disappointment blows through the air once again.
Wow. All right. Okay, share with us another one. I thought we were going to do one and then go to a break. I lied. We're going to go over time. I want to hear one more.
Okay. So, actually, I'm going to do self-love.
Okay.
Because I did not always love myself.
Right.
And again, whether it be a relationship that you think that you want and you continue to stay in this relationship knowing that it's not good for you. We have to take the responsibility for what we do to ourselves, whether it be not eating right, whether it be even, sometimes you're in school and you need to take a break or something like we only get one self.
Right.
One body, one being.
Right.
So we have to take care of what we have while we're here on earth.
Right.
So this is called self-love. Being alone makes you understand the purpose of self-love. This world can be a very cruel place to be in with an unstable mindset. If you have a lot of time on your hands, you may use that time to think. The negative thoughts are there. You don't have to be an evil person to experience injustice. Satan can seem powerful, and without the right one on your side, my Father, God, you don't have a chance. So remember, no one else is obligated to love you. How could you expect someone to love you if you don't even love yourself, although it happens?
That's good. All right, you guys, we're going to take a break for station identification. We will be back with author and poet Keisha Williams of Tears on Her Face. Hang tight. We'll be back in just a moment.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at ktav.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.
All right, we are back here in studio with author Keisha L. Phillips, not Williams. We are back here in studio with her, and as we head towards the top of the hour, we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty and some of the technical stuff.
Okay.
So for anyone in our audience who's listening, not just now, but in the days to come,
Yes.
what advice do you have for aspiring authors? For somebody who's like, I have a book and I have an experience and I want to get it on paper.
Right.
How do I do it?
Right. So sometimes when we write, you're looking to write it as in you would read it in a book. Just write.
Mm-hmm.
Get some journals and just write. The putting it together can be done later.
Right.
So just write, because sometimes our minds are moving so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're one of those people like me, get a tape recorder.
Right.
Back in the days, they grab a tape recorder. Get that, because then you can stop and push play and stop and push play as much as you need to, so that you can write down the content. Don't give up on yourself. It might take 7 years,
Right.
but don't give up on your dream, because if it's placed in your heart, it's placed there for a reason.
Right.
So just, believe in yourself and press in. Just
What I love about what you just said, one of the things that really stood out to me, I can't think of who he is. He's a soccer player, but he said, I am a 17 year, 114-hour overnight success.
wow. Yeah, it takes some time.
It does.
Takes some time. No one knows. They're like, oh, this book. And unless I tell you it took 7 years,
Right.
then nobody knows.
It seems as though, I decided to write, and so I'm just going to
Right.
put a book on paper. There was another author of a children's book that I had as a guest on the show, and one of the things that she talked about was, I think she said her book took her 10 years, because initially when she got the idea, she
Right.
was like, okay, I'm going to write, and then life happened, and
Right.
things happened.
Yeah,
And it appeared as though things got in the way.
Right, right.
But she came back to the book later, and she
Yes.
was able to finish it and
That's
finish
good.
it with greater depth and
That's-
clarity
yeah.
than she would have initially, as
Yes.
she just cranked something out.
Yes, yes.
And so I really love the fact that you talk about not just believing in yourself, but I love your timeline.
Yes.
Because this is not a Hollywood thing,
No.
right? This is not a 30-second commercial.
Right,
It's
right.
whatever it is you're working on, time is going to be a factor.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. My daughter writes, and this summer I'm going to help her with her book. She wrote a book. I read it. I'm like, okay, wow. She did all of the aspects of this book. She did her own illustrations and everything. However, I just want to make sure that it's kind of in order the way it needs to be, but it's all her.
Right.
And I'm like, she has such an imagination that I'm going to continue to fan her flame.
Right.
Because, especially at that age, just think if she continues to get the support that she needs as she gets be a family of authors. You never know.
Right. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to that question a little bit later.
Okay.
So what did you learn about the publishing process that you want the audience to know?
What I learned about the publishing process is there's many publishing processes. Now, when I started, I think I just went on the internet and found one that I could work with.
Right.
I didn't do a lot of research because I guess I wanted that microwave version. Like, I have the book right now. I have the manuscript. I can turn it in and bam, it'd be done. But it did not work that way.
Okay.
So there's, I hear a lot of people now talk about self-publishing and things like that. So what you have to do is figure out what's going to be best for you.
That's good.
Because going with a publishing company might not be your best choice.
Right.
But if you're like, I don't have a lot of money to go on and print out so many copies, I'll just go with someone who can print them out like on demand.
Right.
And that's what I did. I did purchase quite a few so that I can sell my books at events and things like that. But it just depends on each person is going to be different. It's not going to be like one way of publishing for everybody.
Right.
So
I love it. And I like the fact that you bring in really some elementary things, but I think a lot of times we don't take the time to think about, no, it's really what works best for you.
Right.
What fits your budget? Do you want to do print on demand? Do you
Right.
want to go through a traditional publishing house?
Right.
Do you want to do the book yourself? Do you want to do it as an ebook? And so
Absolutely.
it really comes down to taking the time to do the research.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and find out this is what best fits my personality as I'm going through this process.
Right.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Was there any point in the process? So the poem's written, right? So we're done with the 7-year. Poems are written.
Right.
Book's ready. Editor's going through. She's removing your distractions.
Right.
I love that. I'm going to borrow it. She's removing your distractions.
Right.
From the point now where the book's together to where it's time for it to actually manifest.
Right.
Was there a point where fear started to take over, doubt, and you were like, oh, I don't know if I should do this? How did you have that? And if you did, how did you press through
I
it?
probably had it a little bit, but as I got closer, it was like, oh my goodness, we're this much closer.
Right.
And I started getting more excited because I think that whole fear, I did that some years
Right.
when I was on a standstill.
Right.
And so at that point, I'm like, I want to see this book. I want to hold it. I want to touch it. Because other than that, it's almost like a dream to me.
Right.
Like a lot of times, even when I've had my kids, I'm like, until my baby's in my arms, it's a dream.
Right.
And so up until that point, I was like, I remember they told me, you know what, you can have it out by Black Friday. And I was like, okay, well, what else do I need to do? Scrambling, trying to get it done.
Right.
But I took a minute and I said, God, if this is your will, let it be done, because I still needed a photo for the front and other stuff.
Right.
And I mean, it literally happened in that day.
Wow. That is incredible. Yeah. Okay. So, now that the process is over, take the entire thing into the 7 years to completion. Is there anything that you would have done differently?
No, I think it happened in his timing.
Yeah. Okay. Your daughter is following in your footsteps. Your eldest daughter is following in your footsteps as a writer. When she reads your book, when she's at a place in her life where she can read your book,
She reads it.
she does. What do you want her to gain from it? Not just the audience, but now this is your progeny.
Right.
Yeah.
So to follow her dream, she has a lot already.
Right.
But to that things are not going to be easy. And just because you get stumped, it doesn't mean that you have to stop.
Right.
You might need to slow down,
Right.
but you press in. That's when you dig deep.
Right.
And you just keep going. We instill that into them now. The youngest, she's kind of hardcore, but the middle one,
Right.
yeah, she gets sad, and she's like, oh, this happened. And I said, listen, pull up your boots, because things are not going to always be, you're not going to always hear yes.
Right.
So guess what? Get ready for some of the no's, because they're coming.
Right.
But you got this. You were made for this.
I love
so,
it.
I mean, daily, I make sure that I let her know that she is special, she's intelligent, she's smart, and that God loves her, and the gifts that you were called to do something great. I tell her that every day.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So with this book that's coming out for her, when can we expect a book from?
I am hoping to work with this and hopefully have it out by next year. I think that will be awesome. For a kid's book, you only need 24 pages. And she's there. Like, she keeps belting out books, and I'm like, okay, slow down. We might have to combine, some of the stuff, the content that she has in it, because I want it to be a good read. I don't want it to be something you belt it out. So with her, she's like, that's where kids are. They want it right now.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, is there ever a time, I just had this image in my mind of like you guys doing a tour together?
Oh, I think that would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
I think that would be amazing. She takes care of mommy. That one right there, she always, let me make sure my mom has one. Oh, I got a water, let me make sure I get one for my mom. You're giving out these, can I have one for my mom? So that's her. That's that one. So
I love it.
The little one's kind of little. You know, she's a mama's girl, but she's little.
So if we want to purchase Tears on Her Face, how do we get in contact with you? How do we get a copy of the book? Talk to us.
You can go on my website. It is KeishaPhillips.com.
And spell Keisha for us.
KISHA Phillips, PHILLIPS.com.
Okay.
You can also go on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Google Books, and I do believe they have an electronic version, which is Kobo, and I didn't even know that. So,
okay.
Yes, I'm trying to work on a Spanish version as well.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
That is absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
So we are looking forward to hearing more from you.
Yes.
Cannot wait for the second installment. It probably won't be Tears on Her Face and maybe Joy in Her Heart. Tears on Her Face. You can get this on Amazon. You can also go to her website, KeishaPhillips.com, to purchase the book. I'm getting directions from my technical director. Apparently I am not technically doing it right. I'm going to get my life together. One moment, please. We're going to try this again. Keisha L. Phillips, author. This is her book, Tears on Her Face. Tears on Her Face. You can get it on her website, www.KeishaPhillips.com, and you can also find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo, and look for a Spanish version coming out soon.
Yay.
All right, we want to thank you so much for joining us here in studio today with author Keisha L. Phillips. We will be back next week with another dynamic guest. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday wherever you are. Have a fabulous, fabulous rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at KTAV.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.